This is how I like to set up my table while painting. Of course, I use a bigger paper and clear up my table more. But just to get everything into the frame, I've arranged something and put everything very close. So there is my paper, my mixing palette, my color palette, some water, and then I have a tissue. And I keep my brushes not on a brush stand, not in water, like maybe some of you are doing. I used to do it long back. I used to leave my brushes in water. I don't do that anymore. I only dip my brushes in water when I'm using them. So I normally keep them here. And if I'm using pans, I can easily take some water and re-wet the pans. If I have a color that is out on the palette, I'll re-wet it here. Or I'll take a color from my palette here and then I put it in my mixing palette like so and adjust the consistency according to what I need, and then I start painting with it. If I want to thin it down, I add more water, and here is a lighter version of it. But most confusion comes from when to use pans and when to use the tubes, which I think is a more, which according to me is more of a scale issue. Like for example, if I'm painting something small, maybe even like A2 or A1 size, I might use this palette, because even if I'm using a bigger brush, if I take, even if like it's this big, I can still use this in the bigger pans. But if I'm painting with, let's say, this brush or even this brush, then I might have to use a palette that has bigger pans. So maybe this one, or even this palette. As you can see from outside, it has, the pans are a little tilted, they have an angle, and it's very easy on my brushes if I use this palette, and they have a lot more space compared to this pan. For example, it's a little bigger and it's very easy to use them with bigger brushes like this size. I have these bigger pans. If I want to take some color out on the bigger pan, I can use this as well. So it really depends on how big you want to paint. And also there is a slight difference on how you handle the color. So for example, this is already dried, so you re-wet and you can, take the paint according to what you need. Like right now I'm mixing it even more to get a thicker consistency, and now I have that. I'll not mix any more water, and this is a thicker consistency of pigment. But if I needed a little lighter pigment and I just needed that, I'll go in with a little bit of water and I'll not mix it too much, and I'll just take whatever I could get and then I'll paint with that. Whereas when you have a tube, you have much more fluid pigment and you have to be more careful. So you can take it out like this, and then you can take some water and with that, with a wet brush, and with that you can start taking some color from the edge of it. You don't need to mix everything at once, just mix according to your need on the edge. If you need a thicker pigment, take a little more on the edge. Never go into the color in the middle of the color, and it'll be too pigmented and you'll not be able to figure it out. So just from the edge, take a little bit here, and then if you want, like, you can test it out. Already it's a white palette, so you kind of have an idea, but see, it's the same consistency here and here. But for some reason you want to make it lighter, you can add more water and make it lighter, and then paint with that. If you need even more lighter, you can keep adding water and it will get lighter. That's the only difference. And it's not much of a difference, you just have to be careful. Like there it's dry and you can just go on top of it, but here because it's wet you don't go on top of it, you take paint from the edge of wherever your paint is, and that's how you regulate the quantity of pigment in your brush. If you want even thicker, you can take a little bit more and dilute it and fix the consistency according to what you need, and then paint with it. So there is not much of a difference, it's just a scale thing according to me, because most of the pants are this size. This is the biggest size that you get. There is one a Japanese brand that has even bigger, but normally you get this size of pants. So I think if I'm working on a bigger painting, this is my preferred pan size, and even like if I get anything bigger than what I have and it fits my brush, that is good enough. So even this works because this has larger areas, but I think I also need a larger mixing area, so I really like to have this kind of larger space to mix my pigments. So I have a lot of options that I keep close to me if I'm working on a bigger palette. For smaller parts I can use this, the smaller pans, the small palettes, anything. But for the bigger paintings that I do, I need this kind of space, and maybe this lid that I have is also usable, and also the bigger, it's a food plate actually, but I use it as a palette so that I have a larger mixing area, and that works too. So it kind of depends on the scale of the painting and your personal preference. For me, I don't think there is much of a difference between the two, so you can use either one of them. And even like if you are using tube colors, try not to have an open palette like this one, because over time this will, there are chances that this will stay gooey and sticky, so this will gather a lot of dust. So what you can do is you can use something like this which has a lid. Even if you don't want to put the paints out like I have done here, you can maybe take out paints as you require, and then you don't have to clean your palette all the time and waste a lot of pigment. You can just close the lid and keep it away and let it dry, and that way you'll be able to use it even after you've finished, you know um, and you can use it even afterwards for whatever kind of work you want to do. So that's generally it, and you can use it for your other projects if you want. That's about it for the pans and the tubes. So you can see in this palette as well as this one, I took out paint from the edge of it, and this edge I did not touch. I did not go in the center of the pigment. I take my paint from the edges and I spread it out according to what consistency I might need. So there is a lot of pigment here and here, and this is very diluted pigment. So even if I re-wet, I can really manage how much pigment I have. So I think dried paint is more convenient if you are learning at the beginning, but it really doesn't make a difference. If you be a little careful, you can use either one of them.